At my graduation party, my stepmother announced she was cutting me out of Dad's will. Everyone clapped. I pulled out an envelope and said, "Actually, Dad already handled that." Her smile vanished. "We're making some changes to honor real family." My stepmother Diane said it into the microphone like a toast. At my college graduation party, the party I'd paid for myself because she said the budget was too tight, Gerald and I have decided the estate will go entirely to Marcus and Sophie. Blood matters. Marcus and Sophie, her kids. The ones who called me the mistake at every family dinner. The room erupted in applause. My aunts, my cousins, people who'd watched me grow up. They were clapping. Diane caught my eye across the room and smiled. Victorious. I set down my champagne and walked to the microphone. She didn't move. Didn't expect me to have anything to say. I pulled an envelope from my purse. "That's interesting, Diane, because Dad and I met with his attorney 6 months ago." Her smile cracked. "We updated everything after I showed him the financial records. Would you like me to explain, or should I just let everyone read it themselves?" My father had died 2 years ago. Sudden heart attack. At the funeral, Diane cried dramatically. Then 3 days later asked when I'd be moving out of her house. For 18 months, I'd watched her redecorate with expensive furniture, luxury vacations with Marcus and Sophie, a new BMW, all while claiming the estate was modest, and there was nothing left for my college fund, like Dad had promised. But my father was meticulous, and I was his daughter. I'd found his files in the attic. Bank statements, investment accounts, properties I didn't know existed. Dad had been worth $2.3 million. Diane had told me he left $200,000. I hired a forensic accountant. Took 3 months, but we found everything. Diane had been transferring money into accounts under her children's names, selling off stocks. She'd moved $340,000 in the first year alone. But here's what Diane didn't know. 6 months before he died, Dad and I had lunch, just us. He told me he was worried about Diane's spending, that he wanted to protect my future. We went to his attorney that afternoon. Dad set up an irrevocable trust. The house, the investments, the real assets, all in my name. Diane got the liquid cash, and whatever she didn't hide. Everything else, mine. The will she kept referencing, that was the decoy. Dad's attorney had warned him people contest wills, but trusts established before death, with clear documentation of intent, nearly impossible to break. I opened the envelope and pulled out the documents. This is the deed to the house, in my name, dated 18 months before Dad died. Diane lunged forward. "That's not possible. This is the trust document, the investment accounts, the rental properties, all transferred legally before Dad's death." I looked at my cousins, my aunts, all the people who'd clapped. Dad knew Diane was using him. He protected me before he could protect himself. "Everything you've been enjoying for 2 years, Diane? You've been living in my house, spending money Dad left for me." The room went silent. Marcus stood up. "She wouldn't do that." I pulled out more papers. "These are bank transfers from Dad's accounts to accounts in your name, Marcus. And yours, Sophie. $170,000 each. Want to explain where that money came from?" Sophie's face drained. Diane grabbed for the microphone, but I stepped back. "You have 30 days to vacate the house. My house. My attorney will be in contact about the funds you transferred illegally. Oh, and the furniture you bought. I have receipts showing it was purchased with estate funds. I'll expect that returned as well." "You vindictive little," Diane started. "No," I interrupted. "I'm my father's daughter. He taught me to plan ahead. You just never bothered to check if he'd planned ahead of you." I gathered my documents and walked toward the door. My grandmother caught my arm. She was crying. "Your father would be so proud." I looked back at Diane standing frozen at the microphone. He already was. That's why he made sure I'd win. 30 days later, Diane moved out. The lawsuit took 8 months, but I recovered $280,000. Marcus and Sophie had to return every penny or face fraud charges. They paid. Last I heard, Diane was working retail and living in a studio apartment. Marcus stopped speaking to her. Sophie changed her last name. My grandmother asked if I felt guilty. I thought about my father holding my hand in that attorney's office, making sure I'd be protected. "No," I said, "I feel grateful. Dad taught me that real family doesn't give up on you, and real planning means you're always 3 steps ahead."